So this friend of yours, what's he doing all the way out here?
Hiding. That's what deserters do.
Staying off the radar's not our specialty, but he's been doing it for years. And you trust a deserter?
Why not? We're all deserters now.
Welcome back everyone, we're settling in for the next in the Bad Batch reviews for Season 1. This episode strives to deliver a firm understanding of the position of the clones at this point in the timeline, and how quickly the Empire has implemented their new guidelines for the citizens of the Empire.
That's good to know.
This episode takes place not long after the debut episode, as it catches up with the crew heading to Sector J-19, which reunites both fans and the Batchers alike, to a long-forgotten character introduced all the way back in Season 2 of the Clone Wars, former clone trooper Cutler Quain.
Yes! 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 Yes!
This particular trooper defected from the Republic following the first Battle of Geonosis, and after witnessing his entire squad get executed one by one after a ship crashed on world, he felt his life was worth more than that and fled for safety, finding himself sometime later on Seleucami, where he met Sue and her children Jack and Shea. He was one of the few early examples of a clone trooper showing an understanding of independence and free thought that allowed him to survive and even beyond Order 66. The premise of this episode follows the Bad Batch coming to Cutler Quain to lay low for a couple hours till they figure out their next move. However, after early warnings from Rex, and given the growing presence of the Empire on Seleucami, Cut wants to move his family off-world. The concern being, however, is that he's a defected trooper, and if he's caught, he'll either be forced back into the army or executed. We see that Hunter agrees to help them get off-world, but it has to be done by legal standards, given that the Batchers are now fugitives from the Empire, and Cut doesn't want to mix his family up in that. So it's down to Echo, Tech and Omega to collect blank data disks and make chain codes to help get them off-world. This quickly devolves, however, into a desperate escape for the Batchers, as Tech has to have a Marauder impounded to get close enough to the data cards they need, and after making them and having Omega deliver them to Cut and his family, Echo is almost caught trying to break the clamp on the ship, and a fight ensues that drags Hunter and Wrecker away to try and get everyone off-world as quickly as possible. They do, however, manage to successfully support Cut's efforts in trying to flee the planet.
Good job.
Mixed up in this episode is a growing concern from Hunter that they aren't what Omega needs. She's a child and deserves a balanced life where she can be nurtured and grow, and initially Hunter manages to convince Sue and Cut to take her with them, but she quickly leaves them and goes back to the Bad Batch, calling them her family and wants to stay with them.
I'm not crying, you're crying!
The emotions in this one were prevalent throughout, and honestly, one of the best parts of the entire series. The connection that Omega has with the rest of the group is heartfelt and genuine, with excellent line delivery from Michelle Ang, who has such a natural chemistry with D. Bradley Baker, who has perfected the voice of the clones so much at this point that whenever Tamara Morrison comes back, it feels almost unnatural.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.
The relationship between the Batchers and their positions regarding the Empire is intriguing. While none of them see the Empire as a site of joy, Tech, for example, can see and understand the logic of what they're trying to do, whereas Echo, with his trauma from recent events at the end of the Clone War, feels the people should have the freedom for what they want. Wrecker remains pretty silent in this, other than a few comedy spots, but Hunter produces the first sight of a rebel from a clone trooper at this point in the timeline. The pacing of this one was perfect, from the arrival on Seleucami to the heat of the first fight to the escape from the planet. It was balanced, and the inclusion of Cut was a great addition, digging into that established well of characters that set themselves aside from the rest in the beginning of the Clone Wars. To see the implementation of the Empire so fast was interesting, as it would imply that maybe Palpatine was setting aspects of control up, like chain codes, long before the Order 66 was instigated. To witness Omega interact with people her own age was really good fun. It helped to give her a brief understanding that structure and order aren't always the way, but to break that with the attack from a Nexu as a bold reminder to her that the galaxy is still full of threats, and to always be on guard, was a nice stepping stone to the larger arc that we'll see her go through in this series. There are obviously a few questions coming out the back of this episode, like, will Cut's inhibitor chip activate on mention of the Order? Who knows? It's unknown if the mention of Order 66 from Big Papa Palps is the activation key, or if the sheer mention of Order 66 is likely to activate it. but I'd like to assume that Cut will remain okay. Another question is, how did the Batch come across Cut? They clearly established a good relationship with him and would assumedly visited him quite a lot throughout the war, as Jack and Shea seemed genuinely excited to see Wrecker. We established how Rex grew to know Cut and Sue based on their interactions from the Clone Wars series, but the Batches are a mystery for now. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Its use of the Empire being peppered in as a looming threat for the Batch was great. Omega getting a cold dose of reality in both positive and negative light was executed well, and visually this episode didn't fail. It was gorgeous in a lot of the scenes, and beautiful examples of how far they've come in terms of lighting alone. And lastly, the answer to the question of Cut's involvement in Order 66, with him being returned to us as a smooth-talking father figure, was a welcome surprise and cathartic conclusion to his character for now. That's going to do it from me though, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like this, please leave a like, drop a comment down below, let me know what you thought of this one, subscribe for more content, and until next time, take care, and may the Force be with you.